Hey, if you're anything like me, you've probably spent a few evenings scrolling through countless gaming PC builds, trying to figure out whether a mini powerhouse will actually fit into your cramped apartment desk without turning your living room into a heat zone. I get that hesitation, especially when the specs look like something you'd expect to find in a full-tower workstation, not a compact box you can tuck behind a monitor. So before you drop a big chunk of cash on a system that might end up gathering dust, let's walk through the real-world experience of the Kinupute Mini AI Server PC. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the thing that catches people's attention is the headline: Ryzen 9 9900X paired with an RTX 5060 Ti and 64GB of DDR5 RAM. On paper, that's a monster. What matters in daily use, though, is how that raw horsepower translates when you're actually gaming, streaming, or even dabbling in AI-related workloads from a desk that barely has room for a monitor. I spent a couple of evenings installing a few of my favorite titles: Cyberpunk 2077, Valorant, and a sandbox AI experiment with Stable Diffusion just to see how the mini form factor holds up. The first thing I noticed is the setup. The chassis is surprisingly sleek. It's about the size of a modern desktop printer, and the front panel has a single USB-C and a couple of USB-A ports. Plugging in my monitor lineup, 3 1440p screens plus a 4K TV for occasional streaming was straightforward because the back panel boasts HDMI, DisplayPort, and dual USB-C DisplayPort alt mode connectors. The ability to run 6 monitors simultaneously isn't just a brag-worthy spec. It actually lets you keep a Discord chat, a game capture window, and a system monitor all visible without constantly alt-tabbing. If you're a content creator who live streams and wants to keep an eye on chat and stats, that multitasking workflow feels genuinely smoother. Performance-wise, the Ryzen 9 9900X lives up to its reputation. In Cyberpunk 2077 at 1440p ultra settings, the frame rates hovered around 7080 FPS, which is more than enough for a buttery-smooth experience even on a 144Hz panel. The RTX 5060 Ti, despite being a tier lower than the 3070 series, handled ray tracing decently when I toggled DLSS on. The 16GB of GDDR5 memory gave the card a nice bandwidth boost, and I didn't see any stuttering when swapping assets. For AI workloads, the Mini AI moniker isn't just marketing. Running a 512 Stable Diffusion inference took roughly 12 seconds, which is impressive for a system that fits in a corner. That's the sort of niche capability you'll actually use if you experiment with AI art or need fast local inference without sending data to the cloud. Now, the hidden trade-offs. The most obvious one is thermal management. Kinupute quotes advanced cooling, and indeed there's a decent centrifugal fan and a heatsink that covers the CPU and GPU. However, in a compact chassis, heat dissipation is a constant battle. During my prolonged 2-hour gaming sessions, I noticed the fans ramping up to a noisy whine around 55°C CPU and 70°C GPU. It's not a showstopper, but if you're sensitive to background noise, you'll hear it. The system also doesn't have the luxury of adding extra case fans. You're limited to the built-in solution. Another practical consideration is expandability. The dual-drive storage sounds tempting at first: a 2TB PCIe 4.0 NVMe SSD for the OS and games, plus a secondary M.2 slot for future upgrades. The catch is that both slots share the same heatsink, and the second slot sits right next to the GPU. Adding a larger NVMe drive can push the GPU temperatures up a few degrees. In my testing, I stuck with the 2TB drive, which was already more than enough for a sizable game library, but if you plan to add a massive scratch disk for AI datasets, you might have to trade off some GPU cooling headroom. Who should definitely consider this box? If you're a gamer who wants a high-end experience without a full tower, love the idea of a clean desk, and also need serious multitasking capability, say you stream, run a few background utilities, and maybe dabble in AI, this Mini AI server hits a sweet spot. The 6-monitor support means you can maintain a professional-looking workflow without a cluttered cable mess. The dual 2.5 GB Ethernet ports are a nice touch for anyone who needs fast, wired network reliability. Think uploading large video files or low-latency competitive gaming. who should skip it? If you're a budget-conscious gamer, the price point of this mini system is comparable to a full tower with similar specs, but you lose the ability to upgrade cooling or add extra drives as easily. Also, if you're looking for a silent workstation, the fan noise under load might be a deal-breaker. Finally, if you prioritize pure gaming performance over the AI and multitasking flex, a desktop with a higher-tier RTX 3070 or 3080 would give you better frame rates for the same price, plus the freedom to tinker with custom cooling loops. Practical strengths are clear: the compact footprint, robust networking, and 6-monitor capability provide a functional setup that